Oh, welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. This is our X-Wing podcast, episode 151. There's been an XWA points update, so this is version 3. So I said, hey, let's go live. Let's actually talk about these new points adjustments. And the best part about it that we're going to get into in just a minute is they created a consolidated document for us, so I don't even have to comb. I don't have to even comb all of the points numbers for it, and I could just look at this and we could talk through it and call it a day. So let's get into it because I'm excited to talk a little bit about X-Wing and the XWA. Joining me tonight on mic is JJ. The Giants still suck. You need to get rid of that hat because it's making it. You should be wearing that Lions hat because that Lions hat wins Giants more games when you were wearing it.
I was hoping that the Lions would, pick up Daniel Jones just, for the lulz, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. We're recording this on a Sunday night in December. Is it December 1st already? Ugh.
Yeah.
My credit card bill's due tomorrow. But so we're recording this. They released a points update at noon today, and because they created a consolidated document, I was like, screw this. Let's go live. Let's talk about it. And let's see what goes on with it, because I think it's going to be, some of the changes are kind of cool. To kind of give you a little bit of update, JJ and I both have been playing in the Nickel City League right now, so we've both been actually playing the new points. I've been playing as a Falcon. JJ, have you been playing as a Falcon too?
Yep, I've been a Falcon for Team Star Killers as the captain there. It's actually been a lot of fun. I don't have a winning record, unfortunately, but it has been great to really bounce around between the different factions and really taking a deep look at the major differences in the deck or in the list building for each faction, because all the changes with the beta points there versus the AMG points. And I got to say, I've been having a lot more fun playing the XWA points just because they feel a lot more balanced. And I could really say that the factions feel a lot more balanced with each other, where they feel like you don't have an innate advantage over another faction when you're going over through scenarios. There's always that angle that you can build for that. And I gotta say, you've had a fantastic season so far in the XWA. I mean, you're what, 8-2?
No, I think I'm 5-3. I'm 6-3, either 6-3 or something like that.
So that's a winning record, man. That's great.
Yeah, I'm getting now. What happened is they started sticking me with all of the players from that what's that league that you guys play in, the Worlds League. I get stuck playing half those players every time. Yeah. That's what happens.
The XCC, yeah.
Yeah. Like I got to play Lee Chandler this week. That's my week for our playoffs week, is I got to play Lee Chandler. It's like, oh, great. And I got CIS, which is good because like I've actually been enjoying playing CIS more. I've actually been playing a few more pickup games online than I had been. And then I've been also, I don't know, I still think Scum almost feels like my favorite faction, like all of a sudden again. And it's funny because Charlie, I was letting Charlie build me a list to Kamsa. He was just building me a list and I'd just go fly it. I was like, hey, this is what I got to play this week and this is who I'm playing. Do you know like what they play and how to counter it? And he's like, yeah, here you go, play this and this and this and you'll win. And every list he gave me in Scum, I won with. So like, I don't know, like props to him because that was hilarious that's worked out like that. But I've had a lot more fun playing it. I haven't put it on the table as much though. Around the holiday season, I got a couple of weeks where I'm off most of the time, and the locals I used to go to kind of disseminated into playing Shatterpoint or BattleTech. And while I am interested in BattleTech, I'm more interested in not just jumping into BattleTech right now, and I'm not interested in the store they're at. But that's a different story. So there's a store that's up in Grand Haven that plays on Sundays, and so depending on what happens, like I've been trying to get my practice in with SWU and just make my rounds for that for the other podcasts we host. But I had been going up there once in a while for that, and I think during like once we get closer to Christmas, I'll be able to hit up that store and hopefully play a little bit more X-Wing and put it on the table. Though I will say, if there's a local that would like to buy my collection or most of my collection, there's a couple. I want to keep 2 factions, but if they want to buy most of my collection and then just build me lists, like I would like that. I would just come play whatever somebody builds me. Like that would be fun. That's what I do for BattleTech. I don't own any BattleTech, And like I just say, what are we playing? You build me a list and then tell me how to play it, and I'll play it. So
Yeah, definitely. And for us, it definitely has slowed down here in our area for like in-person X-Wing as well. But last weekend, we had a AMG Points extended event, which I got to play at. Came in second place, and the winning list was a double resistance bombers list that went undefeated 4-0. It was two Star Fortresses with Neenum and Elo, and it was just a monster of a list that just ran through the competition there. I was not able to play against that during the tournament, but it was still a lot of fun there. A lot of people still excited, ramping up for PAX that's coming up soon, and yeah, they're just excited to play and get more games in.
yeah, are you going to PAX this year?
I am not actually. I did last year, and this year, unfortunately, just could not make it just between all the travel that I've done this year. So I am not able to make it out to PAX this year. But I am definitely pushing to go out to Worlds next year. Going to be driving all the way up there, so it's going to be a long drive, but it'll be something fun and worthwhile. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, why don't we go ahead and let's get into the actual points update for this. Probably would help if I make sure your screen is not lower than mine. Fix that. Forgot to fix this. Soul's Life. All right. So here's the update. This was released. They called it November, but they released it in December. So I don't, whatever. You can make do with it what you want. It does look like it's an Ollie, Greg, Dale, and Catherine decision, which is funny because is Catherine playing in the league this year?
Yes, she is.
She is. Okay.
Captain. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know if she was or not. I guess I've missed some of the streams that Greg has on Thursday nights just because Thursdays are a bad night for me now. But with the election season being over, it kind of picks up. But essentially, they decided they only want to do a few adjustments. And you are welcome to submit your adjustment, which we'll have a link in our description of the video. But you're allowed to submit your adjustment for them as you play test this stuff, so that way people they know what should be changed. So the first change is Adon Fox, which I'm very sad about, though I will tell you, I didn't think that this ship was super effective. Like, everybody just nuked it whenever I put it on the table. So, I don't know, like, I guess it was super cool the one time I got to put it on the table. And if you don't know who Aiden, BOE Aiden is, essentially it's like, it went up a point. It's a standard loadout, and it has like missiles and bombs, and it can drop bombs after it dies, and blah blah blah. But I'll just tell you, like, everybody just aced this off the board. So like, I'm still in Greg's camp that everybody just killed it, like turn 1 or 2. Like, they just said screw Aiden, and they didn't want to deal with them. But essentially, it went from 4 points up to 5 points here. So
yeah. Yeah, definitely. Adon Fox was a staple, or becoming a staple, in a lot of Rebel lists from what I've seen so far, mainly because there are ways to really set him up, especially with intimidation. If you can block your opponent into the path of Adon, Adon has the ability to have defensive rerolls. It has a proton rocket that can absolutely decimate a unit that has been blocked, and has intimidation on top of that. And if they've spent their tokens already, a bad roll can absolutely just killer. It has 5 shields and 4 hull, and with the defensive rerolls, it's just a pain in the ass to take out that ship there for 4 points, especially when you have other units that are a lot easier to kill, or rather a lot less health, that give you more points. So it's definitely kind of like a balance thing. I'm sure that with enough more play testing, they can revisit this again. Honestly, we probably just need like a whole points rebalance for, like, adding on more points to give a little more granularity, I think, honestly. But still, seeing it come back to 5, it's still a really good ship, and you can fit it in a 5-ship list still, and it can do very, very well. So yeah.
Yep. The next change was Fen Ra in the Fang Fighter. Basically, they reduce his loadout to 8 to adjust his power. I didn't see that as being a big thing, but it does make it so you can't fit everything. You can't fit the Klein training and the Mando optics and something else on there. You have to be a little bit more choosy. Which is
the Beskar optics combo on Fenral was really good. Bringing it down to 8 kind of makes you have to make a little more decisions on it. But overall, I didn't think Fenral really needed that reduction. But he's still an overall really great fighter to have out on the board, and especially if you're building with a stress list, having Fenral out there to help take out all those stresses, definitely really strong. So yeah.
Then we got Boudica, right? Boudica going up to 5 squad points with 16 loadout. I think that's crazy to me because I don't know if I want to run Boudica over other ones that are in there. But I will say, whatever. I mean, it is fine and dandy. She is really good at that with that double tap. She is still good. And now that you have the 16 points, you can actually put stuff back on her again that you could not put on her when she was at 4 points. I just don't know if you want a 4 health ship. I don't know if you want a 4 health ship with
so that. With 16 loadout, you could do a shield upgrade and Beskar reinforced plating on her. So that gives her essentially 5 health, and you can cancel a crit. So that makes her super tanky, especially at range 1. So that makes it really hard for you to take out Boudica. And if you decide you're going to ignore Boudica and shoot somebody else, guess what? Boudica's going to double tap right into you. So I think that does feel fair. That extra load out there at 5 points to make her a big threat there. And having the ability to have those upgrades available to her makes her a little more survivable. So that way she can be effectively early. So yeah, it feels fine. You just have to sacrifice somewhere else in the list. So yeah.
Yeah. The next one is Shara Bay, the A-Wing. I'm a little confused. I guess they were both 3 points. Or the difference, no difference at all, except for one was 3 and one was 4.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused, other than it looks like they increased the loadout. I don't know. JJ, what is this?
So originally the standard loadout shower bait was cheaper than the custom, and it had less loadout. So you almost just went straight for the custom Shara just because you get more things on her. So with this, they gave custom Shara she's still 4 points, coming in with 12 loadout, and has a mod slot now, or an additional mod slot where you can add in Beskar or whole upgrade and such, and you can add more items for Shara Bay to really take advantage of and be a little more effective.
Then Sabine Wren Crew, which is hilarious that this was ever legalized again. But Sabine Wren Crew went up to 5 points, which is 100% fair. And I would almost say it could hit 6 or 7 points and be fine. But they moved it up to 5 points, which is, I think, an easy decision, so that you have to make a conscious choice that that's what you're going to play. I don't know. It is what it is. I don't like that. I don't like that, and would rather just see that, I'd rather just see that card banned personally, but
yeah, I think later on with later iterations, once they, come back and revisit the ban list to, include certain cards, this card is probably going to have to be one of those cards there, unless they go for a harder rata. This card is super, super useful, especially when you have things like the Battle of Endor B-Wings on your fields that can side drop bombs everywhere, making it difficult for your ships to avoid. Imagine taking a tractor token on top of after suffering an ion bomb and then being tractored into another bomb to then get jammed, and then so it could definitely be pretty bad when it does happen. It just honestly needs to be changed, honestly. But yeah, seeing it go up 5 points makes it more of a decision that you got to make, and not just something that you can auto include. I can tell you from personal experience that I ran both the Battle of Endor, Gina and Braylon with this, with the Sabine Wren on the K Wing, Miranda, Donnie, and another cheap fighter, and it was just so broken. It felt very broken. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because you could give out multiple effects, right?
Yeah.
In one turn, like you could almost just limit that. Say you give one effect per turn. I don't know.
My favorite was dropping a cluster mine, and if they only got one, I just tractor them on to the next one. And yeah, it's gross.
I hate you. I hate you so much. All right, Gavin Darklighter. So they're basically dropping his loadout down to 10, which makes sense, so that he can't just carry everything that he wants on his. He can still take plasmas and R3 though, right? Still can take plasmas in R3, but plasmas in R3 doesn't matter as much because plasmas cancel crits first. So I don't know. Gavin has always been good. Period. So
yeah, honestly, even with like pattern analyzer, elusive, and like hopeful, you can still do some pretty good stuff with Gavin Darklighter. Or if you want to go the Torp route, you still have plenty of loadout to carry plasmas on there. So little less effective, but you're still going to see plenty of Gavin Darklighter in lists.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Empire. We'll start with the Whisper. They're going to move Whisper down to 7, or down from 7 down to 6 points. So we'll see. I still think those standard loadout Phantoms are silly and ridiculous, and AMG did not care what they were putting on those cards. Bringing Whisper standard loadout down to 6 points is probably okay. But you know what it does now is it opens up more list building options to put her with Vader again.
Yeah.
Because now you could put her with custom loadout Vader, right? And you're now at 12 points. Custom loadout Vader 6, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and I get custom loadout Vader isn't as good, but it's still pretty good. So, you can run the two of those together again for 12 points now, and it's not as good as AMG at 11, but man, that's still pretty good. So
yeah, definitely, and the power level of Whisper is really, really strong. And when they did the initial announcement this on the 312 Squads podcast, they definitely conceded that there is a possibility of this being something that can be highly like a negative play experience if it becomes something that becomes prevalent and like an automatic include for a lot of the imperialists. But submit your play test reports for this. If this is something that becomes overly prevalent or overly broken, they can definitely adjust the points to where they need to. So yeah, definitely get those play test reports out there, so that way you can give feedback to the XWA for what you find for it. If it's something that they need to adjust, then they can certainly do that. Or if it's good and it's balanced and it doesn't overly become a negative play experience, then that's great. That's extra feedback that you could give to them, so that way they can note that whenever they come back to review this. So yeah.
And the next is the Lambda, right? So the Lambda is losing, or is it Psy?
Yeah, Lieutenant Psy.
Psy is the one that is losing the talent slot, right? No, it's not a talent slot.
The title.
Yep, the title slot, sorry. And so that makes sense, right? Because that triggers the Whisper, triggers Whisper so much, like crazy, right? Like that's like an automatic type thing that can happen. And so like it's a good thing they're changing that. Though again, I don't know, like could you just have moved the Lambda up to 4 points and then it would have been the same thing? Like, do they want to pay 10 points for that combo? I don't know. Like I wouldn't, but so that's nice. Like I do I do agree. Like Psy for 3 points is like it's somewhat is still an auto include. I think like in Empire.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah, being able
guess
to coordinate early and still get the token from what they're doing is just super strong, right? Because you're essentially generating an additional token for free. At that point, the target lock was a bonus. So even if you don't carry it, he's still the cheaper lambda out of all the lambdas to fly right now. And the ability is still very, very relevant, especially in a case where you could potentially still get blocked. You still have 3 points they could work with. You can still use Captain Hark if you need to like stop or do like a hard turn and still get a focus. That's another viable option for 3 points there. I mean, you can do like a targeting computer with fire control system if you want to, or even ablative plating if you need to go over an obstacle. There's at least different options for side now that you can focus on instead of not having that title. It's not ideal, but it does open up different play styles now for the lambda that you previously probably didn't consider. So yeah.
yeah. We'll quickly touch on the VT-49 patrol leader. Essentially, you're going to give it a second crew slot so you can run Palpatine. I don't know if you do that or not, but it does have like I think 2 more loadout than one of the other ones. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, the patrol leader coming in at 19 points gives it 3 more loadout than any other decimator out there. It does make it an intriguing choice for Palpatine if you want to. I wish you could do Palpatine and like Vader, but you need 27 points for that. But still, it's still a pretty chunky ship that can do very well for like assault objectives, and having that Palpatine support or even Death Trooper support can be really good.
All right. And then the next one is Lieutenant Karsabi. The custom loadout one has been too efficient for 3 points, which who could have guessed, right? Yep. So being able to have the barrage rockets is just over. It's just over the moon. You should not be able to do that. So they're going to get rid of the native missile slot. And basically it bans the barrage rockets on there, which I think is a little bit better. I do still think that it's going to be an efficient 3-point piece, personally. They also decided the standard loadout could come down to 5 without major issues, so they are going to trust the playtesters, and they're going to try that out. So they're going to take the standard loadout one, which I have not actually played those standard loadout ones, mainly because I don't own any Alpha Star wings. But they... I do think, like, I don't know. I don't think that that's going to be... I still think you just take the 3.1, personally, and you just don't get barrage rockets anymore. Because, like, you can still put like ion missiles on it and still be pretty effective, right? Like it still is for 3 points. It's not my play style. It's that's JJ's play style. I don't like that ship, playing that ship very much, and I hated when JJ played that ship. But
the horror stories, yes.
Yeah, well, that was back when everything was unbalanced and shit like that. But I don't know, like it's fine. I think you still got I don't know how many I gotta look up how much loadout it has. Hold on a second. You still got 9. You got 9 loadout. Yeah, I mean, so you can still put your configuration on there, and you can still run the cannon, you can still run the missile, you just can't run barrage rockets. You can still put cluster missiles, you can put rockets on there. You can still put concussion missiles on there. Actually, that's probably... I wonder if you go to concussion missiles next, or cluster missiles.
I mean, honestly, for me, the ideal loadout now for Karasabi, the custom for me, is going to be the assault configuration, which is the one that gives you the bonus or allows you to equip the cannon. Ion cannons with advanced slam is really, really good. It gives you a lot of options for you to go around the board and still have a 3-die attack and still have that ion cannon available. The advanced slam allows you to at least take a lock if you need to, or take a focus as you need to, in addition to performing the slam action. you can get around the board pretty well. You're attacking at initiative 3, and if you're attacking a defender that's already spent their token, you have a pretty good chance of ionizing them, sending yourself up for a follow-up turn. I think that the custom Karasabi is still very very much viable ship, even with the loss of barrage rockets. But even for the standard loadout version, saturation rockets is really really good. I think that this is a ship that should not be slept on. You being able to do a 4-die attack with that is really good, and the ability for Karasabi to, when you reload, to reload an additional charge on it, bringing those back online is really really good. And you're still able to take a strain token to remove the disarm token, and that's when you engage. So you don't have to suffer the effects of the strain beforehand. So you can still take the turn to reload, and then when you gauge, take away the disarm token and take a shot, and still do really really well with that version of Karasabi. So we'll probably see a little more of the SL version of Karasabi.
Fair enough. All right, let's keep moving. We're now into Republic. The first one is 7th Squadron Veteran. They decided to remove the mod slot, which I didn't know this was a thing. I guess like people were running 5 of them with Wolfpack and Sync. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't see anybody play that. Nobody on my team played that. So
yeah, I've played a few games against that particular list. They would do like a lat, and then 4 arcs, and you would essentially, or another ship that has the ability to use Wolfpack and have that same console on there to just pass away target locks as needed. Just made it really, really effective. And these ARC 170s are already tanky as hell, so it's just really hard to burn them down fast enough before they can shoot back at you with pretty much double mods. So removing that mod slot there from the ARC is definitely a step into making them a little bit better. But honestly, it's tough to balance the ARC 170s. So yeah.
Next, they have Ada's, which is hilarious. They did a bunch of change ups because auto blasters. Who would have thought, right? You should just get rid of auto blasters and be done with it. But anyway,
yeah.
So essentially, what they did is Yoda is 4 points with 9 loadout. Custom Anakin is going to be 4 points with 5 loadout. Shock T SOC is going to get moved to 4 points, which I think is a little scary, but also cool because I would like to play around with that a little bit. To be honest with you, like that kind of feels like it's a good match. I liked Shock T before, and I really think that she can be beneficial. Then Ayla is 4 points with 6 loadout. Obi-Wan 4 points with 7 loadout. SOC Obi is going to 4 points. Kit Fisto, which whatever, is 4 points with 8 loadout. The basic ones they're going to give 10 loadout to, so to try to say, hey, maybe you should play with these, even though I would just take Yoda over a general Jedi any day. And then the custom Shock T is going to be 5 points with 17 loadout, which is just crazy. And SOC Anakin is going to be 5 points.
Yeah, definitely a lot of big moves on that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm so the biggest complaint that I definitely heard from a lot of people for like playing against Republic, specifically for like Ada lists, was Obi-Wan had enough loadout to be able to run auto blasters with the crit droid and marksmanship, and that pretty much just printed damage. With the Ada being able to essentially do the purple talon roll behind people and get around people, he was very hard to pin down, especially if you ended up like bumping and stressing and not being able to turn around. Obi-Wan just was able to punch in a lot of damage. With the rebalance here, he's still able to take auto blasters if he needs to. He just doesn't have access to the crit droid. He doesn't have access to marksmanship, and you give up all your loadout in exchange for that one shot. You have less of a chance of you to generate crits, and I mean, there's really no other way around it. So it's a lot fairer, I think, in this case to um, give you the option to either take that potential loadout with the auto blasters, or you have 7 loadout points to get force talents or other types of upgrades for it, and just use his base ability there. So he becomes more of a support piece, particularly to Anakin, versus trying to get that high ceiling of damage. Shakti, on the other hand, she is basically she feels like she's the new Obi-Wan. You are paying 5 points for her. She is able to take auto blasters. She can take the crit droid. She can take marksmanship, and then she still has force for like brilliant evasion if you want to. I don't suggest it, or like patience if you need to. But yeah, she's definitely um, is going to be the new Obi-Wan essentially, but she is I4. She does have the ability to save her tokens the turn before if she wants to using her Force ability. So patience probably a good upgrade for her if you're looking to just make sure she's stocked with Force or are running Yoda alongside of her, so that way she always has Force available. But at least at I4, you're not running into that outmaneuver piece as much with Shakti. So yeah.
Yeah, you can build her with the crit bot, auto blasters, sync council, patience, and marksmanship.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So
Yeah, definitely.
anyway, so those are the ADAs. That was all they changed. Now we're into the Separatist. We're gonna pick the bombardment drones because I disagree with this 100% that they could sit on a rock, oh no, and drop mines. Like, you can shoot them from the distance and they die. They're 5 health. They aren't gonna live. They're 2 green dice. So, but they decided to drop the or increase the loadout of the proxy mines to 9. So you can't take the delayed fuses with them, which I think is fine. But they're going to lose their config slot, so they can't sit on the rocks, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think that they were a big problem personally, in my opinion. But obviously, I only play a handful of games, and I didn't run them ever in my game, so I didn't play them. But maybe I should have. So losing the config slot though is just like, it's just so bad. Just don't let them have delayed fuses, I guess. Then just, you can have proxy mines and no delayed fuses. Sit on a rock. Who cares?
Yeah. I've definitely had experience flying them on the board there. Being able to just sit and patiently wait for your opponent to come into an area definitely is a strategy. But I find that when your opponent's expecting that, you just move, and that way they're not sure which way to come, and then you can drop proxy mines in the place when they start chasing you. So that's probably the better way. You can still go cluster mines if you want to, and have delayed fuses if you want. That's probably a decent way. Has a little bit of a potential higher ceiling because you have the potential to drop more mines onto your opponent right then and there, and then just continue to just shoot them with regular attacks, because if your opponent is targeting your bombardment drones, they can die faster before you can drop both of your proximity mines. So I personally prefer cluster mines, but yeah, it is what it is.
And then Sunfac, they decided to reduce the loadout so that they can't take afterburners, I agree with that one. That's fine. And then they're gonna then drop graphitic deflection down to 3, so you could take graphitic deflection, ensnare, and treacherous now if you want, or predator, or I don't know. So like, whatever. I think it's fine. I still think Sunfac is not the best in the world, but maybe that's just because it's not my play style in CIS, so it's never been really a thing that I've enjoyed playing a lot of. I did play it during the 2.5 days with AMG, to some great effect because it is one of the few i6s you get, but I don't know. It's fine. I agree with it. This one I actually don't disagree with. It's like, yeah, you probably don't need an afterburner Sunfac. you really just don't need that, you know?
Yeah, that's something I actually didn't see as much. I actually only seen it one time. But the you can essentially do a 5 straight afterburners boost and then tractor boost, which is like essentially like a 7.5 straight. And you can cover a lot of ground that way. And it's I could see definitely where they can see that afterburners can make it a little hard for you to gauge where Sunfac is going to go. Sunfac can definitely run really fast that way, and the along with the tractor rules, you can essentially still take a crate with Sunfac and still use his ability to tractor because you're not essentially barrel rolling or boosting and such. But honestly, reducing the loadout for Sunfac, not allowing him to take afterburners is definitely very fair. I actually think that the Gravitic Deflection, Predator, and Ensnare combo is still very, very strong. And he's definitely going to still see a lot of play. So the loss of afterburners isn't too much of a loss.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to First Order. They definitely updated First Order. They felt like it was underperforming. I actually kind of agree. First Order did not entice me at all when we went through the points a couple of months ago. So I'm fine. So the changes is they're giving every TIE-FO a sensor slot. Which that's fine. I think that's good. You can now it gives you a few more options with them. The tie with those without a talent slot are going to gain one. So basically every TIE-FO will get a talent slot if they don't have it and a sensor slot. So that's really good. DT798, for whatever reason, they had 2 mod slots on them, and I don't remember if he had that in 2.52 and I just missed that. But they're dropping the second mod slot just fine. Gaelic is losing the cannon slot, but getting a missile slot, which you're just going to take something. You could just take ion missiles, I guess. I don't know. I don't like that. I liked my Gaelic with an ion cannon, but whatever. Null is going to get an additional mod slot. Scorch is going to get a missile slot, which I think is actually really interesting. And makes Scorch. I actually think Scorch gets more play because of that. Static loses the cannon slot, which I don't know if that's bad. I think that's fine, right? Like Static was never even now. Static's not really a staple, right? I don't know. Like I don't know what the weird combo would be of having a sensor slot and a cannon slot for Static, but what I guess it's the free extra reroll that you would get with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, moving on to Ember, they're going to give Ember 10 loadout points, which I am very excited about. I like to fly Ember, and Ember just didn't have anything that you could do. Lieutenant Hughes is going to lose a missile slot, so now you cannot run barrage rockets, which is fine, I guess, because let's change it up. Backdraft, they're going to move backdraft up to 5 points, and then that's going to get 15 loadout. I don't know. I don't know if I run backdraft at 5 points personally.
Yeah, so I mean, it does end up replacing Hughes as being able to run barrage rockets to its loadout there, so that way it always has a 3-die gun. Don't know that's particularly strong, but I guess there's just some loadouts that we haven't seen, there's some builds that we still haven't seen as of yet that could potentially be particularly strong. So yeah.
Then Blackout is going down to 5 points. I don't agree with reducing it to 6 loadout, but I like to see Blackout back at 5. I don't think Blackout was worth 6 ever. Yeah. In anyone's crazy estimation, Blackout was never worth 6 points.
Yeah.
Blackout always dies, but I do like that Blackout is going back to 5. I don't think it becomes a staple, but I do think that it gives you a new option to kind of create more of a salad type list with him. And then the Red Fury Zealots, which I'm ecstatic to try, is they're going to be 3 squad points, and then they're going to lose their config slot. But it's 3 squad points for generic. I don't know. It might be good. It might be good to be able to swarm that with a couple other things. You can essentially, with those going to 3, to some extent, you can have a... You can almost build a 7-ship list, I think, in FO now. So... that might be actually viable.
I think, honestly, what I'm excited to try is playing Avenger with 5 Red Fury Zealots.
Avenger? So, really? Well, really?
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Avenger, he gets his ability from having other friendly ships die. So you have a lot of 3-point options there that are very good. They have the bullseye option to roll 3 dice. Yes, they can't jam, but they still have a lot of things that they can provide to the list. And having Avenger out there to kind of support them, I think that's something we haven't seen there. And going over to the FOs, we kind of missed it a little bit, but them getting a sensor slot actually opens up a little bit of play style because the ship that we haven't seen too much, or the pilot that we haven't seen too much, is Lingaba, that allows you to equip Prime for speed on the TIE FOs or the TIE SFs, which gives them the slam action. You can essentially equip a lot of these TIEs with collision detector now. And if you bring in gas clouds, you can have them park on a gas cloud, and they can't be locked, and you have enough points for March stable closure. So that means that when they come off, they deplete somebody, or sorry, not deplete, they strain somebody when they come off of it. So that can enable some even more aggressive play if you want to that way with those TIE FOs. So there's some things some new options that you have now for First Order that I can't wait to try out now.
Yeah. I mean, those Zealots, I get the config slot is really good, right? Like, I don't disagree, but like, whatever, like, so you can't jam anymore. That's really all it's saying, is you can't do dual action jams, but like, you still have dual actions on your action bar, right? Like, I'm pretty sure they have like a focus rotate, barrel roll rotate, boost rotate. Like, they still have other things. And like, if you think about it, they just become little knife fighters now. They got 8 loadout points, and like, that's still pretty good. Like, you can equip quite a bit of tech. You can put like pattern analyzer, and now because you get rid of the config slot, you actually get 2 tech slots with it.
Yep.
Because you don't like, they didn't say they're taking away the second tech slot. So I don't know if like running 2 techs is good, but you could still run like a sensor scrambler on it for 1 point. And you could put sensor scramblers on every... I should stop telling people this. You could put sensor scramblers on every one of these. Actually, okay, hold on. Can you do the same thing with your Avenger? You can, oh my god, you can put sensor scramblers too? Oh my gosh.
So good luck to whoever runs Rebels and runs Gavin Darklighter, because you ain't getting a lock on anybody on turn 1.
Yeah, nobody anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely opening up a lot of options. I'm really excited for First Order to get all these changes, because honestly, it's something that we have not seen before with First Order, and it's just gonna bring a lot of creative list building. That's just gonna be a lot of fun.
Okay, so hold on. Can we go back? I'm sorry, I'm super excited about this. So you may perform an action even while stressed. Okay, so I don't care, I guess, as much about Avenger. I want to know, is there a way to coordinate all of these things so they can all have special tokens plus target locks and missiles?
So
because I mean, okay, just think of it this way: if I have sensor scramblers on all of them, I can essentially, that's a 6-ship list, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can literally 5 straight with those, or decloak with them, and then 5 straight with them. That's like a 7 plus. Then you can boost.
Yes.
Or target lock. And like, could you imagine, like, you're going to have at least 1 or 2 bulls? I mean, because you could run Predator on these things if you wanted, right? I mean, I guess the downside is they're an I2. So I guess that's the downside to it. But like, you could put missiles on all of these things and like decloak, and you could have cluster missiles. Okay, so you can't run cluster missiles and targeting synchronizer. All right, so that doesn't. So thank God that doesn't work. But you could run like thread tracers, targeting synchronizer, or some. I don't know. Like there's holy crap.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of stuff you can do with this.
Yeah, you
No.
can. The proton rockets is definitely the most aggressive version of it. But going back to your question about coordinating them, uh, Major Strident in the Upsilon allows you to extend the range of your abilities. Like if you're coordinating, right? So you pair him with General Hux, which allows you to coordinate up to three additional ships. Sorry, three ships total, all doing the same action. So you're already touching three of these whispers at up to range three if you need to, and you're setting them up to get double modded if you need to as well. So it is really strong, and being able to coordinate three ships at range three with Major Strident, and you can extend that even further if you have the biohack script codes. I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this list, and the Upsilon can absolutely hit really hard itself as well. General Hux is only 8 points. You can still fit in Perceptive Copilot if you need to. You can put in a lot of different text and stuff or other crew. There's a lot that you can do with that. So yeah.
All right, well, JJ, let's get a couple lists together for FO because like that's exciting. Like that's that. Like I don't know. Now I kind of want to run FO next week. So anyway, let's move on because we're already 47 minutes in. Resistance they did nothing for. So there you go. They felt resistance is balanced. I disagree. I think that Han should be changed, but whatever. And Ray should be changed, but that's fine. Scum. They aren't making a bunch of changes to Scum, so I thought that was that's a little weird because like I had really good success with Scum, so
yeah.
But that's fine. I'm okay with that. Like it just means I get to run more Scum. Old Turok is gonna have 11 loadout points now. So that's good. Like that puts Old Turok back on the table again, whereas I was not considering him before. That actually puts him on the table. And Fen Rao is coming down to 5 points, baby. 5 points with 3 loadout. Yes, I know you can't put anything on here, but it's like now you get your Soontir Fell of the Scum.
Yep.
Yeah, and you're just running Fearless. That's what you're doing. It's not 4 points, but it does hit a million times harder than Soontir hits. Period. So.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Fen Rao to 5 points. I know there's going to be some people that are going to be like, no, that's too strong. But honestly, there's so many games that I've seen and played myself that Fen Rao just dies at a range 2 shot. He does require a lot of careful flying, just like Soontir. Can absolutely die at range 3, just like Soontir. Being able to include him in your list and have less of a chunk of your list missing when he dies from a blank out feels a lot better now, honestly. And he can't equip Beskar. Absolutely Fearless is probably the best option for him. Or you can even do Cutthroat with clan training if you want to.
All right, stop it. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Nobody's
or even Mando Optics, honestly. So that way you can get like a focus and target lock if you really wanted to go that route. So there's still options for Fen Rao. Absolutely stoked to have these Fang Fighters buffed for Scum. Yeah.
Then really the only other we already touched on Proxy Mines going to 9, Graphitic Deflection going to 3, and Sabine Crew going to 5. Those are really it for the changes. Again, we want to reiterate the same thing that they kind of reiterated. If you're playing these points updates, however you play them, please submit your playtest results, especially if they are lopsided. And I will say they acted very fast when they made a 2-point SOC bombardment drone, which I was excited for, but it did not work very well in the game. So please submit your reports if you're finding something is broken. So if those Fearless Zealots, you can say Planning Face Syndicate told you about those Red Furies being broken, and with Avenger or whatever you run them with. So yeah, I don't know. That's actually feels like a very scary list right there. Yeah. But either which way, We thank you all for joining us for our X-Wing update. Hopefully we'll have an interview coming shortly here if JJ can get one set up here in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll be back with more X-Wing.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll be, if you guys have any lists with the new beta points that you guys want us to review, definitely send it over to us. You can email us at plainfacesyndicate@gmail.com or go onto our Discord and submit it into our list review there. We love to see what you guys are coming up with the new points there. And we'd love to interact with you guys. So we hope to see you guys online.
Yep. And if you don't know, we have a Swoop podcast. You can check out our Swoop podcast every week at 9 p.m. Eastern, if that is your thing. Thank you. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the flippity flop.
Have a good night, everybody.